presentation of KNED Sports.
Live from the KNED studios on Electric Avenue in McAlester, Oklahoma, it's time for Running with the Herd, a weekly McAlester Athletics coaches show brought to you by Reagan Auto and What About Bob's Restaurant.
Episode 17 of Running with the Herd. Yes, it's Monday, January 27th. This is Brandon Green, your voice of the Buffaloes, here with Running with the Herd, brought to you by Reagan Auto and What About Bob's Restaurant. As it is again, looked like 25 degrees outside, but we're going to be heating it up with some McAlester Lady Buffs basketball with head coach Kourtnee Beshears as we have a mid-season update with Coach Beshears. Coach, how are you doing?
Good. I'm tired, but we're good.
Yeah, we are going to mention it a little bit later, but you have 5 games in 6 days about to... You're midway through that, a little bit over midway through that, but how are you guys holding up?
I told the girls make sure they rest yesterday. We go to Broken Bow tonight, so that's a very long trip, and then turn around and play Ada at home tomorrow. So told the girls, take care of yourself, rest, eat well, definitely sleep, and that way we can roll into these next few games. We get a little bit of a break Wednesday, Thursday, but we'll be practicing, and then we play Friday.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked, right?
No.
Coach, let's get right into it. The season didn't start the way that you wanted it to, but it seems like, guys, you might have turned a little bit of a corner over in Bridge Creek. You ended up getting a win against the host team. But what has been your analysis on the season up to this point?
So when coming into the season, we kind of knew it would be a little hard. We have some girls that maybe haven't played at this level, at the 5A varsity level. So we were kind of having to build on that. And a lot of people are like, you're young. I'm like, we're not young, we're just inexperienced. And not in like a bad way. Just 5A basketball is just very different. It's very fast, it's tough, and there's a lot of dynamics that go into it. And so coming into this, I knew that we weren't going to be very experienced. And so trying to build on the strengths of everyone and the weaknesses. And so when we rolled into Tahlequah and we get beat, and I was like, okay, here we go. But then that next game, I think, was Durant, and we lost by 9. And I was like, girls, we have potential.
That was like a 2-point game with like a minute left until the free throws came in.
Yes, and it was little mistakes, young mistakes, right? Like throwing the ball away, having to not necessarily knowing situational stuff, even though we went over it, or offense not running like it should, and so it was that Durant game, and I was like, we have a chance. Like, despite everything, we have a chance. And so I feel like we kept clawing at it. We go to Rogers. Ultimately, if we could have made some shots or some free throws, we have that game won. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard place to play. It's a hard team to play.
And they were, at the time, the top team in the district. And
yes.
They're still a top 2 team in the district.
Yes, and so that was...
2 or 3. I know Durant's climbed up there.
At that time, it was really difficult because I was like, that was right there. And I was like, that could have been our turning point. And I kept telling my assistants and my husband and even the girls, I'm like, if we can get one win, if we can just get one win and kind of get that momentum, because our district... the games will be tough, but they are winnable. Now, Coweta shoots the lights out, so there's hard...
It's ridiculous how they shoot the ball.
It's really hard to react to that because, they can shoot the ball well, and they're going to be... I knew coming into this, they're going to be that team. But they're very old.
They returned every starter from last year, and they were 1 game away from the state championship.
Yes, and she's a really good coach, and so I knew going into that, that would be tough. I knew the Rogers girl, she stayed, and she, any night she can go score 30 on anyone. But everyone else, I felt like, hey, Tahlequah's young. I feel like athletes-wise, Pryor, we're right there with them. Maybe not talent-wise, but just athletes. And so I told the girls, I'm like, hey, our district don't have to be bad. We can do this. And it felt like we were spinning our wheels, and then we just can't quite seal the deal. And we can't, it's like 5 steps forward and then 6 steps back. And then so going into Bridge Creek, I was like, we had Chickasha right off the bat. I'm like, this is a winnable game. But the girls started joking. They're like, quit saying that. Because before we go into games, I'm like, hey, guys, this is winnable. And then we go lose. And so Rylan was like, just don't even say that no more. I said, okay. So we go into Chickasha, and we get our butts beat, and super frustrated because it's one of those games that I see, hey, we could win this.
You're leading for nearly the entire first quarter, truly.
And then we just drop off. And so then, going into Bridge Creek, we had the same game plan because I felt like it was pretty much the same, And then we finally put the pieces together, and we finally get a win. And I was like, thank goodness we needed that, because it was like we knew our potential, but we hadn't quite got there yet.
Yeah. and it's not just a win. I mean, it was nearly a 30-point win. So it was something that was just night and day difference. It was a totally different looking team than what we've seen the previous games that we had. McAlester, you guys were hitting threes, which you guys. I mean, you can. I mean, that's what you showed, and when that happens, then a lot of the strengths of your offense of being able to pound the paint really works. And we already saw that you guys are a pretty good defensive team when you guys, show up and play. And that's what it was pretty cool to see all the pieces come together. And that leads into my next question: how did it feel not only to see that, finally see your vision come to fruition, but also get your first win as a varsity head coach?
I was super happy, mostly happy for the girls. They deserve it. You know, we've been, since October 15th, we practice every day. Like, no days off. School's out. I know last week we were at the gym at 6:30 in the morning. Like, we're putting in the work and we're putting in the effort, but the pieces hadn't quite clicked. And I tell anyone, like, it's really hard to coach girls. Like, we could have a bad day and we have a bad game. You know, we could be mad at another one and it's a mess. And so I think we were getting ready to go into the half, and I was pacing, and Rylan was sitting on the bench. She goes, "Coach B don't even know how to act. Like, this ain't even the same team anymore." And she started laughing, and I was like, "That's true, though," you know. And so
I made the joke. Do you ever take a seat when you coach?
I try.
There's a seat that's open, and I'm
I
I don't know if she ever takes it.
I told Coach Gore, I'm like, "I'm going to sit down more this game," and she's like, "Okay." And the next thing I know, I'm like up, and then I sit back down, and then I'm back up again. But
you see the steps counter on your watch.
Yeah. Am I stressed? I bought a new watch. It tells me I'm stressed out. Yeah. No, it was ultimately, I'm thankful. The girls really needed it. We needed the win. I think just for morale in general, because I think that we've all seen that we're there, but we haven't quite got there. And I tell the girls all the time, you know, in life, just because you put the work in doesn't mean you get it. Just because you deserve it doesn't mean that you get it. And so I think that was kind of how things were looking at the beginning of the season. Like, we had the potential and we were putting the work in, but that doesn't mean we deserve it. It doesn't mean that it's handed to us. And so you really have to fight in those hard times to get through that. And I think that we showed that at Bridge Creek. And even the Bridge Creek coach, he came up to me, he goes, you know, my assistant coach goes, "That team hasn't won a game yet." And he was like, "Yeah, I know." And he was like, "But that team we saw today," he was like, "That was incredible." And I was like, "Well, thank you. I hope we stay that way."
Because, I mean, I hate to score watch, and I was saying it during the broadcast also, but that's the same team that nearly beat Chickasha that beat you guys by by that amount of points. So it's something to where it's like, you don't want to score watch, but at the same time you're saying, and that's a good way to be able to look at the rest of your team and say, this is where we can be. And the team that we lost to in Chickasha, they're an above 500 team, and you can just go on and on and on saying that if we can continue to show up, believe like this, we can, the sky's the limit. We can see what we can actually end up doing going into the playoffs and maybe make area and then see where it goes from there. And
ultimately, like, that's been our whole district. I laugh. I'll get on Squirtle, and it's like our whole district, it's just something new, right? It's like Durant beats Pryor, but then, like, you know, Pryor beats someone who Durant loses to, and it's like we are constantly just, besides us, everyone's just handing off wins. It's, you know, who you thought had this win, ultimately they don't. And you turn around, I'm like, we really have a chance, which we still have quite a bit of district play left. And I told the girls that. I said, you know, just because we haven't won in the district side doesn't mean we're not going to. But our district's wide open. I mean, Coweta, obviously, but everything else in between, and Durant, we can trade in that way. And it's like everyone's handing off wins and losses because it's girls basketball and anything can happen. And so I constantly preach on that, and I do score watch. I'm like, hey, you know, we held to Rogers by 6, and then, you know, Rogers beats Pryor, and so like look at where we could be when we show up.
To that point, I believe you were the first team to not get beat by 15 plus, because they were blowing out everybody, Will Rogers was, and you guys only lose by 6. And when I mean everybody, they hadn't played Coweta yet, but I'm talking about Durant and I believe Tahlequah, and so on and so forth. So it's like it's there, and I was super happy to see you guys get that win on Friday, turn it into a consolation championship, and let's see what happens with Broken Bow, and then you have Ada. And speaking of those games, we have Broken Bow tonight. We mentioned the 5 games in 6 days. What do you feel about, and how do you feel about the matchup in McCurtain County tonight?
Since I've been here, I swear we never play well at Broken Bow. I'm hoping for something different.
And that's not just Lady Buffs basketball, it feels like it's almost any sport.
Yes, and it's kind of that way. I always joke that's how it's been with us in Durant too. I mean, even when we won it and Jared was the coach, it was like we would go down to Durant and we would struggle. And so I feel like every time we go to Broken Bow, we struggle. It's a long drive, it's a long trip. So I mean, I've told the girls, you know, it's winnable. It is. It's not going to be an easy win. It's going to be a hard win.
I can hear Rylan right now.
Yeah, she's like, don't do that, don't do that. But I tell them all the time, I'm like, if you go down there and you play tough and you play hard, you never know what could happen. So, you know, hoping to go down there and make it a game, 100%. But I just also know in the back of my mind that going down there, this is my 6th year, and for 5 years, it's like, well, we missed last year. So 4 years, we'd go down there and we'd have a great game plan, and it's like none of the stars aligned.
Right.
But I also feel like the potential's there. And so we could definitely do it.
Again, hate to score watch, but Ida Bell beat Broken Bow by 20.
And we lost to Ida Bell by 13.
Yeah.
And if we make a few bumps, it's under 10.
Right. Yeah. So you never know what can happen. We'll see what happens tonight, and that'll be on KNED for those that can't make it. And we know it's a long drive. It'll be a 2-hour drive. It'll be on KNED 1150 AM, 98.3 FM, online at McAllisterRadio.com, on the KNED app, and we're going to try to video stream. We've never tried it over in Broken Bow before, but again, service is kind of hard to come by down in Broken Bow. So no promises, but we'll see what we can do. And last question before we go on into the break here, as I'm with head coach of the McAlester Lady Buffaloes basketball team, Kourtnee Beshears, here with episode 17 of Running with the Herd, brought to you by Reagan Auto and What About Bob's Restaurant. It was a year hiatus, just the same way it was with Broken Bow, a year hiatus with Ada. So it's the return of the rivalry. It's going to be at the MAC. It's going to be tomorrow. Finally, you guys get to have some home games, like a good stretch of home games. How do you feel about the return of the rivalry now from the head coaching position?
It's hard for me. This is not going to be popular opinion. I didn't go to McAlester.
Right.
And so
That's why I wanted to ask, what do
Yes.
you think about it?
I didn't go to McAlester, and so of course, like my husband did, and anytime we would go to football or when we were getting ready to, even when I was the assistant, he's like, y'all are playing Ada, and I'm like, okay, like sure, you know. And then ultimately, even when I'll never forget the year we won state, we lost to Ada at Ada. And I think that was the turning point for us. And so
I think
Ada,
you guys got swept by Ada.
Twice.
Two out of the 5 losses were to Ada, and Ada didn't make it to the state tournament.
No. And so I feel like it's always been a team for us that, again, they're difficult to play. And so as far as the rivalry, it's not like a huge rivalry for me. I know as a McAlester it is, but I'm not going to go into it as that way. I'm just going to go into it as like another game of like we need to perform and we need to do what we're supposed to do. But I will say, we've beat Ada since I've been here, but even that year we got beat twice by Ada. And so to me, it's a game and we need to win it. It's not like this huge rivalry. But I really try to talk that up for the girls too, because they are McAlester students and it is a rivalry for them and they do want to win. I think it'll be good. Richardson's back to Ada. So that's a determining factor too, you know, having to bring our A game on that. But again, I feel like we can make it a game if we decide to show up.
Yeah, that's the thing about Ada, man. I feel like from y'all's perspective, you win the game, it's just another push of the snowball to be able to accumulate the experience, to be able to accumulate the confidence, and then go into district plays. We've no non-district games for about a month and a half, and then you guys have like 6 straight, and then district games again. Edison on Friday. So
we roll, I think, Edison, and then next week we have Tuesday, Friday district games. We play Hugo at home Saturday, and then we roll into 3 more district games. So we've still got a lot left.
It's coming up, and a good chance to be able to climb up in the district standings too.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up with head coach Kourtnee Beshears of the McAlester Lady Buffaloes basketball team. You are listening to Running with the Herd here on KNED.
Reagan Auto has been servicing the community with exceptional service and outstanding work since 2015. At Reagan Auto, we are not only honest and reasonable, but we genuinely care about taking care of our customers. From our Reagan Auto family to yours, we wish you a happy new year. Entering 2025, we would like to encourage everyone to schedule your vehicle's maintenance and repairs with Reagan Auto. Stop by 306 East Wyandotte Avenue to schedule an appointment or call 918-715-3236. What About Bob's Restaurant, the home of Bob's Sunrise Surprise, is located at 610 North Main in McAlester. What About Bob serves up your favorite comfort food 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Go down and see Olivia and the gang for breakfast and lunch. What About Bob's Restaurant, open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check them out on their Facebook page, What About Bob's, 610 North Main in McAlester.
Welcome back to Running with the Herd, episode 17 here, 8:45 in the morning on KNED, 26 degrees outside on your Monday, January the 27th. This is your voice of the Buffaloes, Brandon Green, alongside head coach of the McAlester Lady Buffs basketball team, Kourtnee Beshears, as we now just get to know you a little bit better. Again, this is your first year as head coach of the McAlester Lady Buffaloes basketball team. You've been with McAlester for a little while now, but not in the head coaching role, so again, get to learn about you a little bit more. So I've been asking this to all the coaches in January, just to having a little bit of fun here. Do you have a favorite holiday? And if you do, why is it your favorite holiday?
Probably Christmas.
It's a popular one, it's
yes. Mostly, and not even, I hate giving presents and I hate getting presents. That's very last on my love language list. But I think it's just the magic that surrounds it.
Right.
When I was a child and, and now as a mom, I get to create that for my children. So I would say Christmas for sure.
Absolutely Christmas. I every single December, there was a meme that was going around, or I guess it was a TikTok or something, where it says, like, dads or, like, men above the age of 20, like, the night before Christmas, they just randomly get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk over to the Christmas tree and just stare at it. I do that. I do it every single year. I completely relate to it. This one is pretty good. You just came off of the Bridge Creek tournament, then you had the Hugo Festival before that. What is your favorite hospitality room food?
That's a hard one. I will be very honest with you. Game days, I struggle to eat.
I do too.
And it's like, I'll eat a little bit here and there, which I don't have the best self-care strategies in season. So, but I feel like I'm a big pinwheel person.
Okay.
I love finger foods. Like, we'll watch the Super Bowl whenever it is, and I'll just want to cook finger foods. So I would say that, but I won't eat, and then I'll be like, oh, I haven't eaten today, and I'm like, oh, let me go find something.
Well, you can ask Nate. Like my big thing on broadcast days, I cannot eat before the game. The game could be at 8:30, and I won't eat dinner before the game. I have to eat it usually after. I feel like I'm going to get sick. I've been doing this now for almost a decade, but I feel like I'm going to get sick if I eat a dinner and then go broadcast a game. What is your favorite thing about being a coach? Kind of already answered this earlier today.
Yeah, I would say being around the girls. They, we just got back from our overnight tournament, and I laughed so much, and they wear me out so much. It's like this, they're hilarious, but like, please leave me alone right now, and they're they're just funny, and it's Kaylee Knight made a vlog. She'll make a vlog here and there, and so she made one. And I watched it yesterday, and I was like dying laughing.
We need the link to this. We need the Kaylee Knight vlog now.
Listen, it's great, and it's funny because you get to see all these girls with their different personalities come together, and it's not always easy. We have our little tiffs and here and there, and so I really like to be around the girls and their humor and their perspective on life, and also get to see them be with each other and learn and grow with each other too.
Does it ever bring back to the days that you were playing?
It does. I had one coach my sophomore year who we weren't supposed to be very good. I think we started the season with 12 or 13, and she was a hard coach, and we ended with 6. And it's Krista Reagan Bynum. She's back at Indianola now, actually. And I just think back to, like, how hard I worked that season and how much influence she had on me, not only as a player, but, like, we still keep in touch. And I think I try to do that same with these girls, too, is give them that little bit of hope, that little bit of work ethic, and also try to have fun and laugh and giggle in the meantime.
Right. We're about to have a heavy home schedule, as we mentioned in the previous break, but McAlester basketball has been on the road often the past couple of months. So instead of traveling for basketball games, where's the one location you'd like to take a road trip to?
Ooh. It's a hard one. I'm very much I'm not a road trip. I'm let's get on a plane and go to like a...
New York?
Yeah,
I know you love New York.
That's my favorite place. And I said this year was going to be my year of travel, so we're going to the Dominican. And then I'm going to Mexico. And then we're also going up to like I think the Wyoming, Montana area. So if I'm just trying to get away, I would say probably like a good road trip. Edmond. I have a lot of, like, my brother lives up there. My best friend lives up there. I've got my nephew, and so
You can't stay in the car very long, I'm guessing.
No, and I'm at some point why it's like I'm driving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what are we doing? Go here, turn here. You know, and I also have a 4 and a 2-year-old. So if we get in the car too long,
yes,
and I don't let them be iPad kids, and so they're like, Mom, and
So-
I'm over it.
it's funny you say that because, you know, we're a road trip family. We just are. We love getting in the car. We love driving. We don't fly very often. I think my wife and I have only flown together once. And we are going to Disney World. It's the last year that Harper can go before we have to pay for her to go.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, why not? And she's aware of stuff now. She looks at the TV. She says Ratatouille because she loves Ratatouille. She also loves Bluey and all those other things as well. But we don't want Harper to be an iPad kid either. So you know what we did instead? We bought a DVD player, a portable DVD player. We put it in the back so she's watching movies, but she's not like knowing how to control a screen or anything, not becoming a screen kid. So it's like she's just watching TV as she needs to.
It's like what we did.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, her first phone's going to be a Razor, a flip phone Razor.
We joke that ours will be the same.
Yeah.
100%. And then Wyatt swears that they're not getting it till they're 16. And so that's when he got his. And we joke that our kid will be the one on the bus. Like, can you tell my mom we're almost to the gym? And then we're going to pull up there, you know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Again, we're sharing the same wavelength, Coach.
Yeah.
And our last one, you said before that you never thought you'd be getting into coaching when we had you in the first episode back in, I believe that was November. So my question to you is, if you hadn't gotten into coaching, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Well, my my end goal was always to be a licensed professional counselor, and that's what I do now, actually. And so it's kind of like I get I get to be the best of both worlds in that way. And so I feel like I told someone, I said, you know, one day when I do get out of coaching, I want to go get my PhD, be a psychologist. And so I guess I'd be working towards that a little sooner. But I think that's ultimately, I love helping people. I always joke all the time. I'm like, why couldn't I just go be an accountant? Like, why do I feel like I have to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Feel like I have a bigger purpose. And then Lennox will be like, I want to be a police officer. And I'm like, go be an accountant. Like, don't be, you know, because it's exhausting and helping. And even, I would say probably the coaching side of it is even more exhausting because it's how do I impact these young women to where one day they are super strong and super successful. And so I would say probably be a psychologist 100%, but also looking at what my whole goal in life is to just help people. And I feel like even sports just teach so much. You know, they teach you how to win, they teach you how to lose, they teach you how to maybe be around people you don't necessarily like. And there's a lot of skills that build onto life. And so I feel like teaching the girls that helps them be more successful too. You know, I tell them all the time, if you can't miss practice. I go to work sick all the time. Sometimes you got to make it happen. You know, as a mom, you're going to be sick. You have to let me know if you're not going to be there because your parents can't call you in for work one day. You know, you may not love everyone you work with. You may not love your boss one day, but you still have to be an adult and you still have to be responsible. So I do like that side of sports. And a lot of people don't realize this. It's more than winning. And I feel like we've kind of turned this corner because of whether it's college or, you know, different rules that ultimately we're losing those foundations that we get in sports. And I tell the girls this all the time, I'm like, when you're 30, no one's going to ask you how many points you made in a game. But they will get to see you be a successful adult in your job and as a mother and run a home. And, you know, that's ultimately, I think, what's the most important. And I try to show them that and I try to teach them that and be that myself too.
How much do you think that your other career field helps out coaching? I mean, you kind of already mentioned a little bit, but how much do you really think that being in that side of life and seeing that side of life helps you coach these high school girls?
A whole lot. And so before I took the head coaching role, I was always the good guy. Like Jared was the bad guy, I was the good guy. And so I was very much that positive of, hey, we got this. But I would say it ultimately helps. Anything I do in life, I always wonder, like, why do people do this? And that's just kind of my background and my training is, what is the reason for this behavior? And so I feel like I take that on even in the game side of things or in practice. Hey, we're not hitting, like, where's the mental block? Because sports is very mental. And a lot of people don't realize that. But ultimately, if you're struggling mentally, you're going to struggle on the court, on the field. And so I'm constantly, you know, trying to find the balance of what are we struggling with? How do we build it up? in all these girls, and teenage girls especially. So it helps a lot.
Well, Coach, it's been a fantastic interview, as it always is when you're able to stop by. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
We appreciate all the support. I told the girls we were struggling at the beginning of the season, and I will say the one thing I am super thankful for is just all the support we've gotten. It's been hard. It's been really hard. But that was one thing is I told them, I was like, there are people that are supporting us that I never thought would. Or maybe they did, but I just didn't realize it. And I think rolling into this season, we were worried we wouldn't have a lot of support. And so just super thankful for the random text messages I get from the random people, or the random emails, or even, them showing up to games when they don't really have a dog in the fight.
Right.
Just very thankful for the support, because I think without that support, it would be hard for us to even be here.
And we have a lot of home games coming up. I think we have 6 out of our next 9 games or 9 games after today are going to be at home. So we encourage everyone to be able to make it to a McAlester, Lady Buff, and Buffalo basketball game. I promise you, again, it means the world to you, and it means the world to the players. So let's be able to, if any game, let's pack the MAC tomorrow. It's McAlester against Ada for the first time in a couple of years. So let's pack the MAC, get there early, cheer on JV, cheer on varsity girls, cheer on varsity boys. And again, we love that you guys like listening to the broadcast, but we'd rather see you in person and we get to interact with you guys. So let's be loud tomorrow. If you can make it out to Broken Bow, we encourage that too. But of course, we understand that's not feasible for a lot of people. But again, it's right in your backyard tomorrow. Make sure you pack the MAC. But Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And can't wait to see you tonight. Safe travels going down to Broken Bow.
Thank you.
All right, that was Running with the Herd, episode 17, with head coach Kourtnee Beshears of the McAlester Lady Buffs basketball team. This has been, again, Running with the Herd, brought to you by Reagan Auto and What About Bob's Restaurant. Let's hear from them real quick, and then we'll get you back into the music.
Reagan Auto's been servicing the community with exceptional service and outstanding work since 2015. At Reagan Auto, we are not only honest and reasonable, but we genuinely care about taking care of our customers. From our Reagan Auto family to yours, we wish you a happy new year. Entering 2025, we would like to encourage everyone to schedule your vehicle's maintenance and repairs with Reagan Auto. Stop by 306 East Wyandotte Avenue to schedule an appointment, or call 918-715-3236. What About Bob's Restaurant, the home of Bob's Sunrise Surprise, is located at 610 North Main in McAlester. What About Bob serves up your favorite comfort food 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Go down and see Olivia and the gang for breakfast and lunch. What About Bob's Restaurant, open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check them out on their Facebook page, What About Bob's, 610 North Main in McAlester.